There was a time years ago when I had just 47 cents in my bank account, and I didn't want to tell my spouse at the time that it was me. And so in this video, I want to teach you the power of knowing that you can feel and be rich no matter how much is in your bank account. And it actually is a state of being in a decision that you make. So I'm Tyler Watson with Elite Performance Coaching. Check this video out so you can stop being a victim to money and scale as an entrepreneur and be rich no matter how much you have in your account. Money is a fascinating thing. How many have ever had trouble selling things or getting people to purchase stuff where it feels like it's a little tough? Now, sometimes you might be good at selling things, like if it's not your own thing, right? If it's like, I can sell stuff for other people, but if it's my own thing, like all of a sudden it's different. So sometimes it's easy to sell for others, but not for yourself, or something that you've created. So when I first started off there back years ago, I wanted to make a lot of money. You know, I saw the vision of getting my wife a grand piano, and yet I didn't have any money. And I grew up in a poverty background. My mom going through 4 or 5 divorces, always went to like the thrift store and shopped and did things like that. And so I never really had quality. It was always just get enough and just pay for what you have, and then that's it. And I'm super grateful for my parents. My parents are amazing. They did their best. And we talk all the time. Like, I love my mom and dad. They're incredible. But I did learn some non-ideal things back then. So I had to change. And through that, one of the things was money. And I was in a place where I was dating my wife, who she was like this coach for youth. She taught youth leadership skills, and she was teaching them how to make money. So she would literally get like 12-year-olds and show them how to make like $1,000. And she would get 12-year-olds to make like $1,000 in a month. And I was like, man, that's how much I'm making, like, or less. As we were dating, I asked her a scenario, and I was like, hey, let's say if someone only had 49 cents in their bank account. That was me, but I didn't tell her that. But I was like, let's say if somebody had 49 cents in their bank account, but they wanted to be rich, like they wanted to make a lot of money. What would you like tell them? And she's like, well, Tyler, what I'd say is that, you know, you have to be rich with 49 cents in the bank account. And I was like, that's a horrible answer. Like, I didn't want to, I was like, no, give me some juice. Like, tell me something to do. Like, I got to make some money. All right. And she's like, no, the test is can you be rich with 49 cents in your bank account? And I thought, that kind of like hit me. And I think it mulled over for like a week or two. I mean, I was like, oh, what if wealth and richness, money, was an energy and a vibration and a frequency? And the only reason I would have 49 cents in my bank account is if that's all I felt worthy of. That's what I settled for. And what if I believed that I was already rich enough that that wasn't acceptable, 49 cents in the account? So I started on that journey. Then I had that car incident where I pulled over and the $500 thing, and I kept having these signs like, you got to make more money, Tyler. Like, you're here for a purpose. You can't just struggle your whole life. You got to like be wealthy. Like, that's the test for you. Can you actually be wealthy? Can you do it? So I went out on this journey to figure out, like, what's the trick around money? How do I make more money? How do I hold on to more money? How do I make more, keep it? How do I attract it? How do I have it happen to me? And I went from a place of making less than $13,000 a year to then the next year over 6 figures. So I made $135,000 the next year. Then the next year over 200 and I think it was like 275 the next year. So more than doubled it. And to be able to do over $1 million within the course of about 3 years. Then switching messages, doing it again, going online, running things, doing millions of dollars through teaching and helping and going and serving. And I've thought a couple things, and I've like, there's something about money that I'd love to share more about. And this was one of the big things for me. So I went from a starving massage therapist charging less than $15 an hour to being able to charge for $100,000 to go work on people. and I look like this, and people still pay me. So it's like, if I can do it, you can do it too, right? That's easy. I can do that too. So when you think about money, what is money? Where did money even originate? What's money used for? So when you think about this money piece, we traded it for services, right? Goods. So at first, somebody's got some potatoes, some water. They're like, hey, I got some water, I got some potatoes. And they're like, hey, I'll trade you some potatoes. And they're lugging their potatoes around. And they're like, here, I got some corn. And they're like, about this much is worth this many potatoes. And they're like, oh, they're trading it. And it's like, golly, you got to carry all that. So someone back in the day was like, hey, what if I have a coin that represents a certain quantity of these things? So it became a medium of exchange. So it was like, oh, if you give me this much, then you can have your food, right? Your water and your shelter. So it became an exchange for food, water, shelter, our basic needs. So when we were like, hey, here's some money, transfer the goods. Now, as you think of like, what is it, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, what does that entail of? When you think of that, what's the bottom? Food, shelter, yep. And then what's the next one up? Safety, belonging, right? And it goes up to, the ones I want to talk about are these two, right? So money is equal to food, water, shelter. So if that's the case, and I'm like, hey, will you pay for my services? I want to give you something. I want to exchange. I have something of value. Let's exchange. What I'm essentially asking them for is what? I'm asking them, give me your money for your food, water, shelter, which is basically your life, your life source. So if it's like, oh my goodness, if I've ever struggled in life and I've never had food, water, shelter, I'm going to ask them for money. So this was that happened to me. I was like, no wonder it's so scary. Like I was so scared to even ask somebody for money when I was doing massage therapy, and I would tremble at the thought of asking them to pay me. That's how bad this was. And I didn't realize it, but it's because part of me felt like I was stealing from them, robbing them of their life source, because I had felt that way. I didn't have the money. I didn't have the food, water, shelter. And so if I asked for money, I was taking what was providing for them their life. So what I had to do was say, well, what if what provided for your food, water, and shelter wasn't just the money? What if it was something of a higher purpose, a higher cause? And I'm a God believer, so you can fill that with whatever, universe, whatever definition you want. But I thought, what if I trusted that God or the universe, or whatever definition you want to put in there, was actually the provider of the food, water, and shelter, not money? Then I wouldn't be afraid to ask for it, because it's just a thing. It's just a thing to exchange. It's just a thing to provide cool stuff. So as I started to stop allowing my master to be mammon, or the belief in money, and started to serve something higher, a higher cause, I didn't have the fear anymore to ask for the money, because now I wasn't going to rob them of the source of their life. So this helped me a ton in being able to say, cool, I realized that I was a victim to money most of my life, and I was a slave to money, because anytime I was going to invest in something, it scared me. And I was like, oh, I don't want to go into debt. I don't want to do this, because I didn't trust enough in a higher being. I didn't trust enough in myself as a creator, in my ability to create the things that I want. So I put my trust in this, or the lack thereof. And I was a victim to this for many years of my life, until I decided not to be. comes through a decision. And I had to decide, I am not going to serve this. I'm going to serve a better cause. It's cool. When you start to make that transition, this happens because now you don't need it. There's a bigger purpose.